So, Dani Peleva, welcome to the Disenfranchised. How are you doing today? So, Dani Peleva, welcome to the Disenfranchised. How are you doing today?
Thank you for having me. I'm very well. Thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great. Thank you very much. Still kind of on a bit of a high, really, from the international franchise show last week, I guess now, as we're recording on the Wednesday afterwards. Met so many people that I wanted to, but not everyone I wanted to, which was a bit of a shame. But it was really nice to see everybody out and about and face to face. And I believe you were there as well. So how did you find it?
Yeah, it was wonderful. I really enjoyed spending a couple of hours there, meeting some of our existing clients, meeting potential prospects, and just a lot of vendors and familiar faces in the industry. It was good to be back. We had that feeling of normality rather than just seeing and meeting people on Zoom. Actually handshaking them and speaking to them live was quite the experience. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's weird. It's not like other times, right? We're saying just before we hit record. I felt kind of nervous meeting people face to face again, which is very strange, but got over it in the end. And especially when the beers started to flow later on into the evening, so it was good. But anyway, let's jump into the kind of interview, and starting at the same place I do with everybody. I'd love to find out, what was your first job?
I've started very early because my parents always believed that I should learn how to earn my own money. I started with summer jobs, but I suppose that's not what you're referring to. My real first job was an English teacher in a private school back home. And that was during my bachelor's degree. I was studying and working part-time to support myself during my studies.
Fantastic. And when you say back home, where's back home?
I'm originally Bulgarian and I moved to London 13 years ago already. So it's been quite a while, but I graduated my bachelor's degree back home in Bulgaria and I moved to do a master's here in London, and I've stayed ever since then.
Wow. So why stay in the UK, if you don't mind me asking?
I thought it's a very well. First of all, it's a vibrant city. It's got great opportunities work-wise and career-wise, but it also is a hub for traveling. And I'm an avid traveler, or at least I used to be before 2020.
Yeah.
So it gave me a great opportunity to visit places and travel the world. So it just naturally was the next step of my life. I was also offered a job in franchising, and this is how my franchising career started in London now 13 years ago.
Okay. Wow. So tell me a little bit about that job.
So I headed the marketing and branding teams of a global franchisor, Fantastic Services. They were just starting out at the beginning of their franchising journey. And so they needed help with the marketing and branding. And it was a great opportunity for me to apply the knowledge from university and learn and grow and get hands-on experience. And back in those times, that job entailed anything from speaking to franchisees to designing and working with the design team on branding of the vehicles, marketing collateral, making sure that the quality standards are met throughout the network and all that. So it gave me a really big kickstart in my career.
Yeah, sure. It's quite exciting when you can do such a variety of roles, right, in one company. So I wonder, did your masters prepare you for working within a franchise organization, or was there things different about working within an organization that was franchising that you were expecting from maybe like a normal corporate company or business?
I think I did a project management master's. So in project management is highly applicable in different industries and in various scenarios. So I think definitely the learnings from there, they made a lot of sense. And I could apply them in projects being done in franchising. Franchising is very different from any other business model, a startup or an enterprise level organization. And there's a lot of more stakeholders involved. So managing key stakeholders in a project is a core principle of project management. So in that sense, I think, yes, it definitely gave me a toolkit that I could use in franchising.
Cool, excellent. So fantastic services. I'm aware of them, but people listening may not. Could you tell me a little bit about that business?
Yes, so they are a global franchisor. I think they're now in 5 or 6 countries over 3 continents. When I started, they were just starting up. When I started with them, they provide the full range of household domestic services from gardening to cleaning, pest control, gutter cleaning, inventory services, and all that. I think locksmiths and removals now. I worked for them for about 5, 6 years. I worked on a few different projects, including opening up their master franchise in Australia. I was involved in that project, and I moved for a bit there and worked with the master franchisor for Australia. And yeah, my portfolio and experience with them was great. I even ended up buying a franchise myself later on. Became a
Excellent.
franchisee, believe it or not.
Oh wow, I'm going to come back to that in a moment. But one thing I wanted to understand is with that service type business, what sort of marketing is involved? Because I think nowadays when I think of marketing, I think it's all digital, right? But I'm guessing there's a lot of kind of when I think about the services that I see in my local area, a lot of it is brochures, or maybe if they're a small business, they put a business card in the local shop, or something like this, right? So it's I guess it's targeting a different type of audience when you're looking local. So was it like that? Was it that type of work you were doing, or was it all online?
It was a mixed model, you're very right. Especially 10 years ago. It was half of it was digital, but we did a lot of local marketing in terms of leaflet distribution, partnerships with dry cleaners and corner shops where we could advertise our services. We also did a lot of events in parks when the weather was nice, family-friendly events. A big part of it was branding, and I started as a brand manager, then moved to the marketing management side. But because you have so many vans on the road, you need to be very specific with your branding, and you have to be on point with your branding because your vehicles are your advertisement around the city. So anything from the business cards that the technicians would leave in with the customer in their property, to small freebies like tea towels or magnets on their fridge, and just small merchandise. That was a big part of the marketing back then. Of course, on the other hand, we had to be discoverable online if we wanted to master that spot. So a big part of it was also digital, and that was local marketing through Google My Business.
Yeah.
So whenever someone searched for a cleaner in Islington or a handyman in Clapham, we would be there on top of the page, and we would generate calls and visits to the website.
Yeah, cool. I mean, especially for your first job, it's quite a variety, isn't it? Right. I know that you've sort of taken on brand roles and marketing roles, but to get involved in kind of everything must have been, a steep learning curve, but quite an exciting one. But I want to touch on now, like, why did you decide to become a franchisee then? You know, because that's a completely different role, isn't it? To working in marketing, it's a completely different thing. So what encouraged you to become a franchisee?
I did see a gap and a possibility in the market. They launched a new service back then. This was oven cleaning. And I wanted to see the other side of the coin. That happened on my second year of my studies, towards the end, when I knew that I could balance out and I don't have a full-time engagement with university. I also had tuition fees to pay, to be honest. So franchising and being a franchisee can be lucrative if you do it the right way and if you stay on top of the business. I felt I already have the marketing knowledge locally. I now have the masters and the theoretical knowledge. Why don't I put it into practice and be my own boss, so to speak, and try to run my own gig? And we both of us know that starting up on your own is a lot more risky and uncertain, and buying a franchise gives you that support, especially if you know the business inside out, as I did back then. So it
Yeah, and
made a lot of sense.
I guess you could maybe pull in a few favors as well with ex-colleagues, right?
Absolutely, yeah, that was the case.
Fantastic. So when you were a franchisee then, what kind of support were you getting as a franchisee for the marketing? Because over the years, I've spoken to a lot of people who kind of assume that the franchisor will generate all the leads for you and you just kind of turn up and run the delivery side of a business. So be interesting to find out what it was like for you.
So with Fantastic Services in particular, this is what the model is, pretty much that they do all the marketing for you. Of course, you're encouraged to do something locally yourself, but a big part of it and the support that you get is online and digital predominantly. So you do get a guaranteed lead flow and guaranteed number of jobs, whereas
that's quite
with
rare.
other franchisors, yeah, it is quite rare, and I was very lucky. And probably this was one of the one of the reasons why I decided to buy a franchise with them, because I knew exactly what the marketing was and how effective it was. I was on the other side, but that is quite rare as a model. Not all franchisors are expected to deliver any sort of leads or guarantees or any business for you. They can give you the toolkit, the marketing materials, and how to do it yourself locally. I did go a step further, because obviously as a marketeer, I wanted to make sure that I am successful. So in my local area and the areas that I operated in, I did do the extra partnerships with other businesses and leaflet distributions and all that. But a big part of it was the digital marketing that came from the head office.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So you're not a franchisee for them now. So where did your kind of career take you from that point onwards then?
So after seeing the franchisor side and then the franchisee side, I did see a gap in the market in terms of providing franchise marketing services, and I moved away and founded a franchise marketing agency, and that was my next career step. So agency side, the third big part of franchising. So now I can say that I've experienced it a bit of all sides and a bit of everything, from franchisor to franchisee and agency side, a vendor now.
Okay, cool. So what was that company called? Sorry.
So the company was called Local Fame. That still exists. Local Fame is has been around for 8 years now. Time flies. And we started as a local marketing service provider, and franchising was one of the industries that we focused in. And over the years, we became quite focused and quite good at franchise marketing. So most recently, I've decided to niche, and I founded Franchise Fame, another agency that is entirely focused on franchise marketing. So Franchise Fame is a franchise marketing agency, especially targeted at the sector. We work with global franchisors, some of whom count more than 2,500 locations globally. And what our aim is to connect aspiring entrepreneurs with already successful franchise brands, and in this way to create more decent work, economic growth, and equal opportunities for everyone.
Okay, cool. So you say you founded Local Fame, did you, or co-founded it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that throws up another challenge for you, right? So you're trying things from every different angle, which is really cool. But what were the main differences you found starting your own business against underneath a franchise brand?
So when you start on your own, no one's ever heard of you. You don't have a brand that's established. It's very difficult to build that trust, and it can be quite a lonely space. And I think this is a very common thread within entrepreneurs and everyone that's started. From a startup background and perspective, entrepreneurship can be very lonely. This
Yeah.
is why I'm an advocate of franchising as a model, because even if you don't know what you're doing, you're just starting now, or you don't have any experience, you don't feel left alone. You're actually in an environment of peers and like-minded other entrepreneurs who have done it and can support you and give you advice, and probably have come across the same challenges that you will at some point. So to answer your question, I did feel a bit alienated compared to being a franchisee and just being an employee.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? Because you don't think about that when you sort of starting a business. But I've spoken to a lot of more successful business owners, I would say, who say exactly that. It's quite lonely. Make sure you try and surround yourself with some good people, and that's the other thing, is you don't know if you can necessarily trust everyone, right? So yeah, you don't want to tell them all your deepest, darkest fears or challenges, because yeah, you don't want somebody to take advantage of that, I guess. And yeah, I'm with you. That's why I think franchising is a really good opportunity for people, because you've got support not only from the franchisor but from your peers, the other franchisees in the network, who, as you say, experience those challenges and maybe have experienced them before you. So that leads me on to a question I wanted to ask you, and that is, in terms of marketing or launching a franchise from day one, for any franchisee, for any brand, what's the biggest challenge they face?
I think the biggest challenge a franchisor, a newly franchisor, will face is the fact that they do want to start and they already have passed through the tedious process of creating their operations manual, all the documents, the legal side of it. And once they've completed that, they expect a huge queue in front of their door of people who are ready to buy the franchise. And that is not necessarily the reality. So there's a bit of a clash with expectations versus reality there. And very often, one of the big mistakes that I've seen in the industry is that they don't necessarily have any marketing budget, or they're trying to minimize their marketing spending when exactly they need it the most. Signing up that first pilot franchisee to prove and showcase their business model.
Sure. And how about from the franchisee's point of view? So that was for the franchisor. How about for franchisees who are just brought a license? What's the biggest kind of challenge they might face? Is it the same?
I think it's mainly lead generation in their case for end clients. They do have expectations from the franchisor sometimes for a reason, and most often not really, but they do expect to get a steady lead flow of new clients once they signed up and got the license. But as every new business, you need to invest a little bit and to actually get some return on that investment. So they don't necessarily have that marketing budget to do local marketing, or they're not necessarily prepared to spend in order to get something out of it.
Yeah, so it's an important thing for anybody looking to buy a franchise license to consider, right? Is, you know, yes, there is a franchise license fee, but that doesn't cover local marketing, and you're going to need to budget for that. And if you're borrowing money, make sure that's in your business plan, right? Because like you said, with the franchisors, if they don't push their name out there, they're not going to get off to a good start and generate leads. They're going to slowly struggle to get to grips with everything, and that's not the way to start the business. Especially if you're investing the other money in the training to start off with, you want to get off to a quick start, right? So you can start recuperating some revenue. But does this then mean that the franchisees need to become marketing experts in your eyes?
Not necessarily, but I think running your own business is a small MBA version on its own, because you need to understand a little bit of finance, a little bit of marketing, a little bit of sales. And it's just a 360 approach that you need to adapt, or at least be open to hiring the right people and working with the right people to help you in the areas that you're not necessarily that good at. Nobody expects you to be great at everything, but you do need to consider all aspects when starting your own business. At
Sure.
least, as you said, if you're borrowing money and if you're planning your expenses and you have a business plan in place, do make sure that you've got at least I would say a minimum of 3, even better, 6 months of marketing budget and spend for when you start with the business.
Yeah. Wow. 6 months is quite a long time, isn't it, to think ahead for the marketing, but it makes sense. It will go quickly. Certainly if you're advertising online, that seems to be quite expensive at times. But it, just thinking of that kind of local marketing piece, are there any avenues you think are generally more successful than others, or is there somewhere every business should make sure that they're at? So maybe is it Google My Business or something like this?
Yeah, absolutely. You got that right.
Okay.
Google My Business and local marketing, or local SEO, as some call it, is the first stop that I would recommend. And it's a must-have for every franchise business and every local business that is associated with a physical location or an area of operations. So local marketing through Google My Business is essential for every franchisee. I'm just reiterating it again because so many franchisees still make that mistake of not even bothering to register their business. The franchisor sometimes does that for them, but not maintaining that listing, not optimizing it, not inputting the right keywords, areas of service, even images, encouraging your end clients to review your services on there. All of these things is helping for your brand to be locally elevated and get more discovered. And I think it is the most cost-effective lead generation tool to date, in terms of digital marketing. Because if you are launching a Google Ads campaign, you've got the spend that you will be paying to Google associated with that. So the cost per lead and the cost per acquisition is going to be higher. And that's in 99% of the cases. So definitely, I would say harness the potential of Google My Business before you even start thinking about spending money on Facebook, Google, and other paid channels.
Yeah, it's interesting because you kind of assume it's all kind of rolled into one in some ways, don't you? And but it's so important. I think about when I buy any product or service, Google is the place where it pops up, right? And you kind of see, are they local to me or are they further afield? Like I'd try and use a marketing company that's close to me so that, we could go for a coffee or something to discuss things, rather than trying to rely on someone who's up in Scotland maybe. So I'm down in Kent. So that'd be quite a long journey to do that. So definitely important. But the reviews part that you mentioned there, I also think that's really important as well, because the other thing that I do is I then go straight to the reviews. And I think it's important for anybody, trying to build out their reviews, not to worry too much about those negative ones as well, right? Because when I look at a review and it's negative, I kind of just start making up excuses in my head saying, well, they probably were just having a bad day or we got a bit unlucky because the rest of the reviews were pretty good. But I imagine a lot of franchisees and franchisors focus on those negative reviews, right?
Absolutely. And I think you're and you're a rare case. A lot of people don't find excuses for those bad days, and just it is a reason for you to be driven away from that purchase and just use a competitor. So one of the very first things that I mentioned when talking about franchise marketing is reputation, and people don't necessarily see it as an immediate marketing tool. But even if you're spending hundreds and thousands of pounds on marketing, if your reputation is not spotless, then the conversion or the effect from that marketing won't be as good, because you will be spending money on attracting people to buy from you. But once they see those negative reviews, they will be driven away from your business and will go and use a competitor. There was a study that I like to quote saying that a negative customer experience can cost you, and a review online can cost you around 22% of lost business. So one review can cost you a lot of business that's lost. And a negative experience makes the client a lot more likely to review your services in a negative way rather than a positive experience and a happy client. So this is why you need to encourage the happy clients to leave positive reviews and not leave your online reputation hanging.
Yeah, I think that's definitely important, but it's interesting what you're saying there, because I think if there's all 5-star reviews, I kind of question has it been cleaned up a little bit? I don't know, maybe I'm just cynical, right? But do you think that does that ever come into play? Is that something that franchisors or franchisees or anyone owning a business should be concerned about, is having too many 5-star reviews?
I think being authentic and genuine in modern times is very important, and it will happen inevitably. You will get that negative review, as long as that negative review is dealt with in a timely manner, in a good way, with an answer. There must be an answer right away, and you must be. Well, all franchisees and franchisors should try to take the conversation offline, and offer some sort of compensation, where if the client is dealt with in the right way, they could either erase their negative review or leave a second one. But if I'm a client and I'm browsing through your reviews, if I see that that negative review is answered in a customer friendly way and a resolution is provided of some sort, it will talk to me and it will tell me that the owner cares about their business and are focused on maintaining that reputation spotless. So yes, of course, you're going to have bad days, or some of your employees are going to have bad days, and that's not something you can manage, but you can manage your reputation.
Yeah, that's so true. Actually, that's that response is really important. And actually, I've found some brands that have done that. I guess I'm thinking of kind of like restaurants and places like this now, but it can be quite comical reading through some of the responses and things. So I think it's all about leaving the reader of the reviews with a good reflection of your business. Even if there's a negative review, how you've dealt with it, if it's dealt in the right way, that's a positive outcome from a negative review, which is great advice. So just to clarify, with Franchise Fame, then are you helping franchisors or franchisees or both?
We've got a two-tiered approach where we work with franchisors on their comprehensive digital marketing strategies, and we help them in terms of lead generation, but also supporting the existing network of franchisees too. So we also provide services directly to the franchisees, helping them with their local marketing. We found that formula very successful because having one designated marketing partner throughout the network is much easier and provides that peace of mind for the franchisor that all the marketing activities of the brand are going to be aligned and there will be consistency of the brand throughout the network, rather than if the franchisees go and venture on their own and everyone uses a different provider.
Yeah, I think just as people, we all have our own ideas of what looks good, right, and what doesn't. And engaging with lots of different individual marketing brands, I could see how that could weaken the brand's strength overall, right? Because a service that's provided with the wrong colors or something like that, if I then travel up north and see something completely different, I'll move up north, from where I am here. Yeah, it doesn't send the right message, does it really? It doesn't, yeah, it seems like they can't make their mind up as a brand as to what they're doing. So I think it's really important, certainly. But I, I I also wanted to sort of ask you about a book that I know you've written and is out very soon, called Franchise Fame. And you've given me a little preview into that. So I know that there's the 5 Fs of franchise marketing. There's a methodology or a model that you've come up with. Are you able to give us a little sort of sneak preview as to what that's all about?
Yeah, of course. Just a little bit of background story behind the book. I was inspired to write the book because of that extensive marketing and experience in franchising from all perspectives. On one hand, being a brand manager and a marketing manager, on the other hand, being a franchisee, and then lastly, agency side as a vendor in the franchise marketing industry. So that experience have enabled me to identify a few of the most common pain points most franchisors come across while on their journey. And I think with the methodology that I've developed over the years, that has been proven and tested cross country and cross markets, and has worked with every single franchisor I've worked with, that solves those pain points and problems. And yes, the 5 Fs of franchise marketing is the model that I've developed. And the 5 Fs are the following: focused team, fantastic reputation, franchise network, full funnel, and finding the fit. And we touched upon fantastic reputation a little bit because it is so important to have a spotless reputation. And I'm not just talking about business reputation in terms of how your franchisees safeguard your reputation, but also your franchise reputation. What signals are there online? If someone researches your brand and wants to invest in your brand and become your next franchisee, if they read an article that tarnishes the brand, or a complaint from a franchisee that has exited the business, that might cost you so much on the long run. So managing the reputation of the business and the franchise is very important for franchise growth and franchise marketing.
I guess it could have an impact on the other franchisees as well within the network, right? So it's not just the franchisor. So yeah, they've got a responsibility as a franchisor to manage that, I guess, to protect not only themselves but everybody within their network. And yeah, it's good that you're thinking about that, so that hopefully they can learn it further on down the line, or if they work with you, get the benefits of your experience on that side. And that you kind of made me think about another question. I'm going to come back to another one of the Fs in a moment, but what are your thoughts around personal brand versus the franchise brand, so to speak? So if a franchisee goes out there and promotes themselves as opposed to the brand, do you think that's a good route for all involved?
I think there's not much space for personal brand within franchising, because you all operate under the same hood and the same brands. So elevating the brand should be the primary focus, because franchising is based on marketing the same brands for the common good of the entire network. So if you are trying to uplift your own profile, this is going to be only beneficial for yourself as a franchisee, and will not benefit the entire network. And if every franchisee adopts the same marketing strategy, then it's not really a franchise, is it? So I think definitely, if you expect to get positive brand value and just great marketing from the entire network, you need to be consistent with the branding from the head office, and there's no place for singular and personal branding in that case. If you wanted to uplift your own brand, you could go and venture off on your own and be a startup, or a solo entrepreneur.
Cool. So coming back to the 5 Fs, you mentioned one there that picked up on funnel. I can't remember exactly what you said it was, but Now, I've been on lots of presentations where marketing people talk about this funnel, and it's, you know, awareness, engagement, and consideration, all these kinds of things, right? But it's confusing, right, to people that don't know that marketing world, because what does awareness actually look like when it's tangible? So I'm guessing that's something you go into detail within your book. You know, what does building awareness actually mean? How does that look? Is it a post on Facebook, or is it, yeah, Google My Business, whatever it may be? Is that something you go into detail with?
Yes, so the full funnel chapter looks at ways on how to fill the funnel with relevant high quality leads to sell the franchise or to get more franchisee partners. And the funnel is there as a model, and it's broken down into the stages, and it is explained so that, well, I hope everyone that doesn't have a marketing background would understand. And some practical tips and case studies are also in there, where you can start applying those learnings straight away in your business.
Cool. Well, maybe I need to have a read of that and brush up on my knowledge as well. But so when's the book coming out?
It's coming in mid-May. We're already looking forward to preparing all the marketing and the launch of the book. It's already published, but the official book launch is in mid-May. But people can pre-order the book and get a free chapter on the book if they go to my website, and that is on getthebook.franchisefame.com. So on getthebook.franchisefame.com, there is the option of getting a free chapter and pre-ordering the book. So once the book is live, you will receive an email notification that you can order it.
Cool. Well, I'll make sure I share the link in the show notes for you as well. Okay. But I'm going to move on some different questions now. So change the pace a little bit. And the first one is my favorite one to ask people, but I know it's probably the most difficult one to answer. And that is, what strange, funny, or weird moments have you had in your career?
That's a tough one, because there's been many for the last decade, especially when working with franchisees and clients. So there's always uncomfortable situations or something funny. I think one of the funniest moments was me. Back in the days, I was quite nervous about public speaking, and being on stage in front of dozens and hundreds sometimes of people was a big challenge and a big fear of mine. The imposter syndrome was kicking in.
Yeah.
And I was quite inexperienced and young back then. So I've read a lot of books on public speaking and a lot of methods trialed and tested, the Superman pose, or breathing in, or feeling grounded, and all that. So a big conference with a client down under was coming up, and I had to present the results that we brought for that client with the agency. And I had to stand in front of more than 100 people on stage, because the franchisee network was huge. There were also other vendors, public speakers for the event. It was a big franchise conference for the brand, and I was very nervous. And one of my business mentors back then, I remember the conversation I was having on the phone before that. He was saying, okay, if nothing works and if you can't set your mind at ease, I've got this method that always works. And I was begging him, please tell me, what is it? Because I don't know how I'm going to handle this. I knew what I was going to talk about by heart, but I hardly slept the night before, because of being so nervous. So he said, okay, you have to drink a shot of something. And I was quite confused. I was like, you're joking, right? It's a 10 a.m. presentation. How am I going to drink a shot of anything? He said, you go downstairs to the lobby in the hotel and you ask for a shot of tequila or a shot of whatever, I don't know what it was, like a strong liquor of some sort. And I thought he was pulling my leg. He was joking. And I said, are you sure? I don't want to make a fool out of myself. He said, just one shot. Make sure it's not 2 or 3, because that's going to be a bit too many. Take one shot. and go on stage, and you see it doing miracles. And so I did. I know it sounds terrible, but I did. I had a shot of, I think, some sort of a liquor, and I relaxed miraculously.
Wow.
By no means I don't recommend this, doing this every time you have a public speaking event, especially in the morning. But it was quite funny because it actually helped. I don't know if it was more of a psychological thing, but he said, whenever I'm nervous and I'm speaking in front of camera, I take a shot of whatever I have in the fridge and I flow. And I did flow, and the presentation went really well. And nobody knew, of course, about it. And this is probably the first time I'm sharing this as an experience, but it did help. And sometimes the most extraordinary and not that conventional methods can actually help you in business. But I
Yeah.
don't recommend doing this on the regular, definitely not.
Fantastic. Yeah, I'm glad you said make sure it's like, or he said it, make sure it's only one, because otherwise, yeah, I can imagine people taking that advice and just, getting drunk and going on stage, but that would never be a good idea. But yeah, I'd not heard that one before. I mean, yeah, you hear of imagine the audience naked and things like that, don't you? But I've never found that works very well. And I made a mistake in the past of thinking I needed more coffee because I hadn't slept the night before, but that just gives you the kind of jangles. It doesn't help at all, does it? So it makes
No.
sense. Alcohol kind of relaxes your muscles and your body and everything. So yeah, I guess there's some science behind it maybe, but yeah, cool. Well, I'm going to try that one next time anyway. That's for sure.
One shot, and just one shot, make
Just
sure
one.
it's not more than one.
Excellent. So my next question is, what has been the proudest or most inspiring moment you've had in your career?
There's been a few, but the one that's most recent and comes to mind is us winning the Global Franchise Awards in the category Best PR and Marketing Firm for 2022. So this was very recent. We
Awesome.
were just awarded, and this is one of our biggest achievements as an agency in the franchising sector. A great achievement because it's a global award, and we were competing with franchise marketing firms from around the world, some of which are so well established with many clients and much bigger in size than us. So in a sense, we were punching above our weight, and that came as a surprise. And it's a great accolade and a great recognition of our work. I'm very proud of the work of the team for that.
Yes, fantastic news. When I saw it, I didn't know your brand so well and haven't worked with you guys at all. So when I saw it, I was quite surprised. I was like, oh, okay, brand from the UK, relatively small compared to others. They've obviously done something really well, in the past year or two to be able to achieve that award. So yeah, congratulations and well done. It's fantastic news, and you should be proud, especially for something that you started from scratch. And it was your the third side of the coin, so to speak, that you were taking on board. And yeah, that's really impressive work. So congratulations for that. Final question then, before we kind of wrap up, is if you're speaking to somebody who's potentially looking to buy a franchise license off of any brand, what would that one piece of advice you give to them be?
I would definitely advise them to do their research first and make sure that they understand the model and that the model is suitable for them. And the model of that particular franchise in terms of royalties and revenue streams, and think about marketing. I come from a marketing background, so always think about what you're going to do next after you've secured that franchise license and how you're going to market your model, your business, and secure that franchise marketing budget to get started and gain traction. And signing up your first few clients is of essence to the success of your franchise. So it's not only about buying the franchise, but it's making it successful and profitable for you. So definitely think about the marketing after.
Yeah, making sure that your business gets off to a bang from day one, isn't it? Really, that's what it's about, and putting that into a business plan, which I think is is sometimes forgotten by people. They feel like maybe they're just going to be swept up in something, but it's still the responsibility is with the individual buying the license to think about these things beyond what the franchisor guides them with. So excellent advice. And Dani, thank you very much for your time today. Really appreciated it. Really, really good to speak with you and learn more about what you're doing, and to get a bit of an insight into kind of some of the challenges franchisors and franchisees face in terms of marketing. So thank you for sharing that with us today.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
No problem. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.